Here, I think that will work. You can use these in a moment. All right, started your report yesterday, boys? Did you start your report yesterday?
No, I was doing the test.
Okay, hands up if you've no clue what to do.
Well, what's the report?
All right, heading, consumption externalities. Your report is one of these. Today's short part of the lesson will be, what do you need to do for your report? Then hopefully you'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm sorted. All right, so just to go over it, you are going to do a report on a consumption externality. So hint, I would want to hear you talking about consuming, not producing. In the report, this is possibly a bit of news to you, but you will have to, one, why is market failure? Okay, so step one, no more than one page. All right, you could do it in half a page possibly. Why is it market failure? With a model. Okay. Then two, you're going to tell me about policies, two policies to correct. All right, and that involves a model. Okay, and the word is internalizing, because we're looking at externalities. So because we're talking about externalities, when you say correct it, you're internalizing the externality. And the third bit is which policy is best. Okay, now, does this sound a little bit familiar? You could literally use the same format that I did for your test. So here, this is A to N, right, if that's important to you. This is A to E. So everybody has to do 1 and 2, and then 3, which is best, is for E only. So that is where you compare and contrast your two policies, and you say which one is best, okay, in terms of equity or efficiency. I think that consumption externalities do tend to lend themselves a bit more to equity. You can talk about quite a lot there, but you could just talk about efficiency if that's what you're clear about. So, what are consumption externalities? Does anyone remember? Smoking. Excellent, Jax. That has been done many times. So I'd probably ask you not to do it just because I feel like it's been just done so many times. Vaping. Yeah, I think that people looked at that whether it was like a positive. I think they looked at it more as a policy, like something to encourage vaping. But then as they found out vaping has problems as well, and it's not necessarily a solution. Yes?
Drugs.
What kinds of drugs?
Marijuana.
Again, you have to prove that it has spillover benefits or cost, Carl, so I think that one might be in the too hard basket. So before we get to that, let's remind ourselves what it looks like. You're going to need to draw two models. You can do these really quickly. 1, 2. Okay, I'm going to draw it, and I want you to tell me what kind of externality it is. Carl, watch. All right, so cost, benefit. Down here is your output. Okay, so you're going to look at it, and you're going to be able to tell me what kind of externality I have shown. So here, labeled here. All right, we can put an MC, so there's no problem with production. So MEC equals MC. You're the same, no problem there. So if I go this, and this, what kind of externality is that? Right, what kind of externality is it? Look.
Consumption.
It's a consumption, definitely. Why do we know it's consumption? Okay, so things to know. With consumption, what you should be looking and showing is that MB doesn't equal MSB. So In this situation, MEC equals MC, so there's no problem with production. The fact that these two don't equal each other in both diagrams means you have a consumption externality. Okay, so good thing to point out first of all and be able to show and explain to me, they're not the same. So then what type of externality is this? It's a consumption externality. Carl, look here. Is this positive or negative? James has just shouted out negative. Does that mean that you believe him? Hands up if you support James, people. Well done to those who didn't raise their hands. It's not negative. Okay. MSB lies above MB. It is greater than MB. Here, it's negative because it lies below. So, what you should do, James, and everyone else, is probably put in your social and your private equilibrium. So here, this is where it probably, if you do this, this is where you're going to sort of understand where James went wrong. So if I just put P and Q, and then where MSB intersects MSC, yeah, okay. All right, so you've got QS. I'm not going to put in PS yet, but can you see straight away the social equilibrium is in front of the private. Is more than the private. So it can only be positive. Like, if it was negative, would we want more?
Let's look at the price, alright?
Okay, but here, remember the price is not always the key thing. We look at the price is maybe like how you achieve the social equilibrium. There are other ways, right? The key thing is the QS, right? So I'm going to circle that. QS is key, all right? So what I would say is that at P and Q, so just the private equilibrium, in this case, MSB is greater than MSC. Right, so MSC is here. If I dot up, draw a dot up to where MSB is. It's up here, so MSB is greater than MSC because that equals MSC. There's no externality. All right, so you draw a dot there, and then I'm like, well, where would we like to be? We'd like to be at the social equilibrium. And if we join the dots and maybe shade it, I don't know, green, what do I have? I probably normally shade it red. That might be a bit confusing, but I'm doing it green. What's the green thing? Triangle. Yeah, so there's your dead weight loss. Because at P and Q, the private equilibrium, or you're operating, your marginal social benefits are greater than your marginal social cost. Society would prefer that you consume more. Wants, prefers, increased consumption. So not production. We want the words consumption. You're talking about a consumption externality, so you're going to say that MSB is greater than MSB. They're not equal. So at the private equilibrium, society would prefer that more is consumed. And as more is consumed, the marginal social benefit will decrease, the marginal cost will increase until they're equal. Okay, so that's what society wants because that's not happening, because the free market under-consumes. So that's P and Q, under-consumes. All right, you have a dead weight loss, which is the green jagged bit. Okay. All right, there's a loss of efficiency in this market because the social equilibrium, the social welfare is not being maximised. Social, let's call it social surplus, not maximised at Q and P, whereas it would be at QS. So it's quite a bit to look at here, but this is definitely positive because MSB lies above MB, all right? And you can see that there is a social preference for more to be consumed, not less. things to think about with a positive externality would be that MSB, in this case, equals MB plus spillover benefits. So it's your private benefits plus the spillover benefits. Negative is different, okay? Pause for a second. I don't know how to pause. Okay, continue for a second. Yeah. Continue. No, I'm saying feel free to discuss. No, come here.
You said James, I get everything wrong, and then she has to come out. Numerous times. Good thing I'm not self-conscious. This doesn't stop me. I don't know how to answer. Somebody has to. I mean, like every single recording is something.
Right, hope you had a great time discussing that. All right, so negative. All right. Here, same story, but so we put in our labels.
Is the thing recording again?
No, I didn't stop it because I don't know how.
Oh.
Okay, so yeah. All right, so if we put in our labels, this hopefully will see you'll understand, James, why you went wrong. So MC, MB, that's all right. You know now, so it's good. Okay, so private equilibrium, and then you look at what society wants. In this case, less, not more. So therefore, we must be looking at something negative. Okay, go pen. Okay, can someone mention with you,
Yeah,
please?
sure.
We need a ruler. You're going to bring 5.
It's scary.
Just take this. Okay, take the pen. Okay, you just need to do the last. That's fine. You just need to do the last section. Okay. All right. So QS. All right. So at P and Q, private equilibrium. MSB is, so let's find it. MSB is here. MSC is here, and that's where society wants to be. So MSB is less than MB. Okay, it's less. Oh, sorry. Well, it's less than MB, but it's also less than MEC. So society will prefer less consumption. So this is down here. This is up here. We want less to be consumed because as we consume less, MEC will get less, MSB will get more until we're at equilibrium again. Right, so we say society prefers less consumption, okay, until MSB equals MSC at QS. So it's the idea of shifting from the private equilibrium where the product is over-consumed, all right, until it's at the social equilibrium where your social surplus is maximized. Just the opposite, really. Over-consumed. Don't say overproduced. It's not a problem with production. Producers aren't doing anything wrong, right, by supplying the product because the damage is not done until it's consumed. So we want to talk about over-consumed. And then if you want to put in your dead weight loss, I drew the dots. MSB is here, MEC is here, social equilibrium is here, colour it in, join the dots, and you have quite a big dead weight loss. All right? So the dead weight loss is the idea of social surplus not maximised. It would be maximised at a lower quantity. Okay. you want to look here, just try and get your head around it. MSB in this case equals MB minus spillover costs. That's why it's different. Spillover benefits, you add in this case. Spillover costs, you take away. Questions? So, you're going to explain with your chosen product whether it is a positive or negative externality of consumption. Right? There are lots of resources on Moodle for you to choose and go through, but I think choose something that you're interested in and something that you know something about. Your job is to be explained what the spillover benefits or spillover costs are, not an essay, literally a couple of sentences, no more than a paragraph, what the spillover benefits or costs are, and then use your knowledge of this model and all these different terms to explain to us this idea that the market has failed because we're not at the social equilibrium. There is a difference between the private and social equilibrium. Your MSB curve does not equal MB. And for a really good answer, you can talk to me about the deadweight loss, that there is one and why there is one. So that's great, but what are you going to do to fix it? So because we're talking about externalities, when we talk about policies, your policies will be trying to internalize. Right, so internalize means make MSB equal MB. There is multiple policies to choose depending on what your topic is, but some common themes would be tinkering with the pricing in the market. So I haven't put it, but one thing you could do is think, okay, maybe I could change the price to get the outcome. So in this case here, we want more consumed, so we have to charge a price. We need to look at, consumers think about themselves first and foremost, so we have to go to their private demand curve, private MB, and ask what price would you need to pay to achieve that quantity of consumption. Where the quantity hits MB is the price that would achieve that level of consumption. So you basically have to, for a positive externality, you've got to decrease the price. How you do that? Well, there's two options. You could subsidise. So if we're looking at positive, subsidise the good to pay the difference between PS and the price producers would need to receive, possibly. You could do a price control, a maximum price control, possibly. This is just the top of my head. So that would be pricing. That's a very direct intervention. Theoretically, you know, you could fully internalize the externality that way. You could do free provision. So basically government provides the good, would be one way of doing it. Or another one, I mean, we talked about vaccinations and like doing, everyone has to have a vaccination. Or not here, and could you just pop into room 5 and give that to him? So I think we talked about in Australia that if you get your child vaccinated, you get a tax break or something. Someone tell me that?
Yeah, you get your social welfare cut if you don't.
So we'll call that coercion or
The opposite.
so you could try, we'll put regulation as kind of where that would fit under. Regulation incentives. So some sort of incentive to do what society wants. The other one is education, advertising. Okay. So it's good for you. Go consume more. And then people listen and increase the demand for the product naturally. Whether that would fully internalise it is up to you. Yes.
How do you show that on a graph?
You would increase MB.
Right.
Okay. So I'm not going to go through how to show the different policies, but briefly, maximum price control sets the price at PS. Subsidy is the difference between PS and what you would need to pay producers. So it's direct. Free provision would be, I guess, supply increasing. The government steps in, perhaps, and acts as a supplier. An incentive or education or advertising is all going to increase the demand, which would be MB. which I don't think you could say would fully internalise it, but might get you partway there. If you look at the negative, all right, the externality, the consumption one, the negative one, would we subsidise it? No. We want to get less consumed, so generally the way to do that is to push the price up. So if you read where QES is and you go to individual consumers, what price would they pay that would force down their consumption? You would have to raise the price in the market. So you could do a indirect tax, or technically you could do a minimum price control. That could work. I'm going to put it there, advertising and educational campaigns could work, are currently used. So don't smoke, it's not good for you and it makes other people sick. Or something like that. You can try incentives. Dax, you talked about vaping before. You could subsidise substitute products, possibly, or the healthier alternative. So we call it substitutes. Or you can just ban it. All right, you can regulate, and I'll put ban. So you could up the age of that people are allowed to buy something, which we do for smoking and alcohol, or you could just straight out ban it, like some party pills I believe have been banned, or plastic bags, gone. All right, so I'm not going to go through those policies with you, but this is like to set the scene, Jax, for you to now start your report. I'm gonna stop this. I don't know how.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, I don't know how to stop it. Oh, it's steering. Okay, that was awkward. Yes. End.